and welcome to a special edition of Backstage with Boria with a very dear friend of mine, Rahul Bose. And this time we are celebrating the launch of the Rugby Premier League. Why, how, when, what's the vision, what is the way forward, window from world rugby, what will it do for Indians rugby, getting the best in the world to come to India and compete. He has done wonders already. Rahul, 6 years in the making, has made quite a splash. How did it all come about? Give me the vision, and how did you manage to pull this off?
Boria, thank you for having me on. Um, well, 6 years ago, I wasn't even on the board of Rugby India. And I remember somebody saying it was actually 7 years ago, 2018, when I had spoken to them about the concept. So, when you're part of a national sports federation and you look at the trajectory of national sports federations, whether it's in India or anywhere in the world, it takes about 30, 40 years for the gestation period of a sport, which starts from scratch, which in effect was rugby when we were first given official rugby test playing nation status in 1998, 27 years ago. And if you look at, for example, the trajectory of Indian cricket, which started in 1932, test matches, the real first significant victories, if I'm not wrong, were in 1971 when we played successfully against England and the West Indies. And so that was about 40 years after the sport had germinated in the country. And so when I was thinking of the trajectory of this sport, and in 2018, 2019, it had been about 20 years since we had been given the status of a test playing nation. I very quickly understood that the ecosystem of the sport was so small compared to the ecosystem of other sports in this massive country that what you would need to do would take another maybe 30, 40 years for India to ascend into the, let's say, out of about 140, 150 countries playing rugby, specifically rugby sevens, officially and officially, um, you would require that kind of time to actually get to the, let's say, top 20, 25% of nations in the world. I don't think we should wait that long. I didn't want to wait that long. And I thought to myself, what would be the silver bullet, so to speak, that would accelerate this process if done correctly? And no surprises, this has been done very successfully by some other sporting leagues in the country. I said, what about having a rugby league? At the time, we hadn't thought of the name Rugby Premier League. The thinking behind it was as follows. When you have a successful league in a country, there are two things that happen, one internal and one external. The internal dynamics that change are, for example, if you have six teams in six geographies, in six cities and six regions, automatically, immediately after the first season, all six teams presumably want to win. And so they start to look at the component of Indian players in their teams. In this case, of course, it's 5 out of 13 players in the squad will be from India. And they start to get hungry for talent. They start to look for new talent, and they start to look for upgrading their present talent to a better class of play. And so you will have six regions with their scouts traveling the country, looking for new talent, six regions across the country, looking how they can upgrade and upskill their present talent, the present pool of players. So, coaches, physiotherapists, strength and conditioning specialists, the entire support staff, assistant coaches will require hiring, rehiring, and looking at upgrading all those software, all those people, human resources. So that will happen internally. Uh, Presumably, they will find a set of players they want to work with, and then they will have coaching camps. They will need a field for that. They will need sports science. They will need infrastructure. They would probably need outside of the sports science, they'd need a physical education space. They would need a center. So outside of what the federation is doing, which is 15, 20 times what any single individual can do, there would be six regional what should I say, blossoming of rugby centers across the country. And they would be internally being the engines of growth for both development of players as well as development of people who support the players.
Makes sense.
Externally, what will happen is that automatically a sport that hitherto has fallen into the vicious cycle of you go into a mass media outlet and say we would like rugby to be on television or on massive numbers online, and their first question is who are your sponsors, who are your backers, and you don't have an answer. And then you go into a sponsor's office and they say, well, which mass media outlet is backing you, and you don't have an answer. So, to break this vicious cycle, if you have a league that presumably is successful, then you could have anything between 10 and 20 million people who, in a matter of weeks, will have watched the game. And then you're not going to have people from our state associations, from the association, from the National Federation, having to wait outside offices, waiting for an interview, waiting for a meeting, waiting for an appointment in the search for funds, in the search for backing, in the search for support. Hopefully there will be very few instances where people will say, rugby, what is that? We don't know rugby sevens. Explain to us. So I think that entire consciousness, if you have a league that's successful, begins to rise. And then automatically people will say, oh, yes, we know your sport. It was attractive. It was fun. We watched it. We didn't watch the whole league, but we watched some games. And please come and let's talk about it. Once you're on mass media, and with the league getting sponsors, which of course it has to have and which we already do, then you begin to create a virtuous cycle. Mass media is very excited, the sponsors are excited. And through all of it, Boria, what is most important to remember, which neither you nor I nor no power on earth can do, is to make the game interesting beyond the point.
Correct.
With rugby sevens, this is a manna from heaven as far as television is concerned. It is a short game in our format. It is 16 minutes, 4 minutes of four quarters with a 2 minute break. So in 16 minutes, you will easily get between 7 to 10, 7 to 11 scores in a game, which means in effect, there will be a score every 2 minutes in your game. Aside, so there won't be 90 minutes of a goalless draw. So you're going to have these scoring events happening every 2 minutes. In between the scores, you have intense physical action, which in themselves, as somebody from our broadcasters, Geo Hotstar, said that there are events within these 2 minutes, which is somebody gets smashed at high velocity, the ball is loose, the ball is played, there's a kick that's taken. So all these events that happen make the game extremely exciting to watch on television. This is, yes, please.
Yeah, and fascinating because clearly there is a vision to be able to do this. I will have some more questions on this front, but how did you manage to pull off a 15-day window from World Cup? Because that kind of tells me that the world is already starting to take you seriously. In the IPL case, the International Cricket Council has given a window. For no other league do I see that. From the very start, even from the start of the IPL, this window wasn't there. So you guys have a head start there to be able to pull this off from the start. How did you manage this? How did you convince the powers that be? And tell me that story.
If memory serves me correctly, and please correct me if I'm wrong, uh, the first edition of the IPL had a window from the ICC, which was about 40 or 45 days, where there was very little, if any, T20 cricket being played anywhere in the world, so that the best players in the world would be free to travel to India to play. So if I just rewind a little bit, I did a lot of research across all the leagues. Some leagues have failed in India, and some leagues have been very successful. And what was very clear was leagues work well with team sports, not so well with individual sports. Number one. Number two, the reason why they work is because there is a certain sense of belonging, loyalty, tribalism behind your team. So we were okay there. The second thing was that if you don't have a league that promises excitement and results ever so often during the game, you're going to have people waning in terms of their enthusiasm to watch a game. And finally, it has to be world class. If you're going to have a league in your sport and there are other options on television or online which are more attractive than the one that you're offering, then people are going to obviously compare you with something else. So with that in mind, we approached World Rugby about 2.5 years ago and got into a conversation about creating a window for this particular product. It wasn't easy. They're wonderful people at World Rugby, but they still have the interest of the game at heart. So there were a lot of tough questions. And they said, finally, we will give you a window, and the window in this case is June 1st to June 15th, where, if any, there'll be hardly any T20, the rugby sevens being played anywhere in the globe, if at all. And if I'm correct, there is no rugby sevens being played anywhere at that time on the planet. So they said, now we've given you the window. You now have to approach the players yourself. We can't be responsible for the players saying yes. So I went and met about 23 of the best players in the world at the HSBC Sevens Series edition in Perth, in Australia. And the players had three questions. Number one, when is it? And we gave them the window. They said, oh, we're free. Number two, uh, how much are you going to pay us? And World Rugby had given us an amount that said this is as good as any for a month of their time, 2 weeks of training and 2 weeks of the actual competition. So we told them the amount. They were like, okay, that's fine. And the third thing they said, and elite sports persons all over the world would ask this question: who are your coaches? And when I said it's Tomasi Kama from New Zealand, and it's Tim Walsh, and it's Ben Gollings, and it's DJ Forbes, etc., then they realized that we weren't messing around. Then they realized that this is going to be a top class league because they have top class coaches. Of course, questions followed about compositions of the teams, etc., etc. And finally, they didn't seem to have any doubt that we would put up a world class show because if you look at the leagues here in terms of hospitality, in terms of travel, in terms of looking after the players, they understood that that would be fine. But World Rugby was very, very stringent with us. There were many questions asked about match commissioner, assistant referees, medics, head injury assessment, the whole medical as well as governance of this entire game on field was very important to them. So today, when we have a 24-page sanction and support document from World Rugby, it details every single thing that is going to happen on and off the field of play, but within the arena, which is your referees, your medics. So the match commissioner will be coming from World Rugby. The medical commissioner head will be coming from World Rugby. The head injury assessment people will be World Rugby personnel, working with very qualified Indian personnel in both fields. So World Rugby was very clear that if you want our sanction and support, this has to be a world-class tournament in terms of player welfare and running the actual tournament, which is where we had to, make sure that we met their parameters. And then they said, "Where are you playing?" And so did the players. The players asked, "Where are you playing?" So there were photographs, videos of where we are going to play. We're going to be playing at the Andheri Sports Complex, in fact, the ground that Mumbai FC plays on, their football. And there are 81 parameters that we had to satisfy for a stadium and site and venue inspection, as well as the ground inspection. And we passed on 80 out of 81 parameters. So I asked the World Rugby assessor, I said, what is that 81st parameter that we haven't quite made it at? And they said, you don't have a fan zone. So I said, look, if you don't mind, can we have that next year? We promise we will, because at this point of time, it's too early to say the size and the kind of of crowds that will be coming in. So we will make sure that happens next year. So there we were. We had, yes.
This is tremendous. I mean, my question on coaches you answered, my question on players you answered. But the big elephant in the room, Rahul, what is the feedback? Corporates, team owners, sponsors, commercial. I got interested. So the media clearly, I mean, if I represent myself as, somebody who has been, part of the Indian sports media for a while, I got interested. I got in touch with you. I said, let's do this. So clearly you will have support there. But what about corporates? What about team owners? What about franchises?
So the first people we went to, so we were, obviously thinking of city-based franchises, was GMR. I had somebody who knew the people at GMR, who knew the family, Kiran Grandi and family, and we approached them to take a team. And I thought, if they take a team, it'll be Delhi. And so we chatted about taking a team, and in 24 hours, they said yes. So I was very, very happy that we had this huge company that has, I think, 7 or 8 teams in various leagues, Kho, Kabaddi, cricket, etc., all over the world coming in. But then 24 hours later, they called and said, listen, we would not like to take a team. So I was downcast and a little bit discouraged. And then they said, actually, we would like to be part of the league. And we said, well, that's wonderful, but as a federation, we own the IP, and that's it's our property. And how would you like to come in on board? And then we worked together, and so they've come in as our organizing and marketing partners of the league. So once we created this relationship, at that point of time, we said, okay, to unlock sponsors, to unlock team owners, you're going to obviously need to know who your broadcaster is. So, to be honest, we went to approach prospective team owners and the broadcaster at the same time. So we would, it would one be one slightly ahead of the other, etc. Those conversations took time. With the team owners, what we had created was a financial model, Boria, that we had been slapped on our wrists by at least three different leagues, team owners, federations, in terms of our financials. They were exorbitant, they were unrealistic, they were grandiose. And so we slowly rationalized our financial model to bring it down to a point where we said, okay, this is the franchise fee, these are the expenses each team will have, and let's put this out as a profit and loss model for all our team owners. What the way GMR works and the way Rugby India works is very similar. We didn't exaggerate, we didn't prettify, we didn't paint a rosy picture. We painted the picture that we know we can live up to. At worst, it'll only get better than this. And so we wanted team owners who understood the integrity with which we were actually, pitching this league. To the credit of team owners, I mean, today, to be honest, we have 9 team owners interested and we've closed with 6. We want to make it a 6-team format. And right now we've closed, you have the list with you, of course.
I do.
It's the RMZ group has taken Delhi Reds. We have in Hyderabad, Kalo Sports has taken Hyderabad Heroes. We have the Mumbai Dreamers being taken by the company that that also does Dream 11. We have a consortium of Australian investors and passionate high-level rugby players who've come in to take a team. Avitzis has taken the Chennai Bulls. We have the Bengaluru team being led by a consortium of investors led by Ranjan Pai, who is, of course, the promoter and founder of the Manipal group of hospitals and universities. And we have a very, very well known, led by a consortium led by Hunch Ventures from Bhubaneswar. So that company has taken a large stake in the Bhubaneswar franchise. So Hyderabad, Chennai, Bangalore, Mumbai, Bhubaneswar, Delhi. And once we had these 6 team owners, we closed the books. To be honest, there were conversations happening with 3 other cities, and in 3-4 years' time, collaboratively with all the team owners, we will decide at which point of time to expand the league. There was also a terrific movement to have a women's Premier League. And we said, okay, let's not bite off more than we can chew. Boria, you know us well enough. If anything, we were even considering starting this league only for women. So it is a sworn enshrined principle amongst GMR and between GMR and Rugby India that there will be a women's Premier League in maybe year 2 or year 3. 100% there will be a women's Premier League. So what we had was 6 team
That
owners.
was my next question. That why only men's? Rahul Bose stands for this. I've seen it, covered it, Kolkata multiple times. Where is the women's league? So you answered that. You answered,
Very
and I'll hold you to this. I'll hold you to
100%.
this. The women's league.
100%. 100%. I mean, if you know me at all, I will only speak once half the work has already been done. So let me tell you, we already have 3 team owners interested in a women's league. So it's not something that I'm just saying today and hoping it'll happen. It's something that is inevitably going to happen. And the reason why it'll happen so easily is because in our 15-day format, when we have 2 games a day on Monday to Thursday, and Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we have 3 games a day, we just push that up. We make that 3 games a day or 4 games a day, and it's 16 minutes a game. So as it is, your viewing will be about 60, 70 minutes. It'll go up to about 90, 100 minutes, and that's fine. As long as the game catches fire, then I know that people will sit and watch. And the great thing about women's sevens rugby is, in terms of sight, Enjoyment, thrills, excitement, and skill levels, it's the same. You honestly cannot. Yes, please.
I was about to come to that. When I see the men's and I see your vision for the women's, this is already an Olympic sport. India bidding for 36. It's all coming together. It's all kind of coming together. Your vision on that, because clearly you've got the timing right. 26 is when the bid will happen. If I know right, India has a chance. This is an Olympic sport already. You are doing this men, women, which is the IOC's vision. Brilliant. Everything coming together, Rahul Bose. What are your thoughts? I mean, take us 5 years down the line. Where do you see yourself, the league, and Indian rugby? That's my
I
last
still
question.
haven't. I still haven't answered the most difficult part of your question, which is sponsors. So now we have the window. Now we have the players. Now we have the coaches. Now we have the broadcaster, and the broadcaster that's come on board is Geo Hotstar. So that was. I mean, it was just a wonderful, wonderful partnership that has happened. They even came and watched rugby sevens at the Hong Kong Sevens, and to put it mildly, they were super impressed. They said, "This is an incredible sport. You have to do nothing with it. It is so incredibly good on television." So we had the broadcaster, and then we had the team owners. One last point about the team owners: they are passionate and realistic. So when we had the player draft and auction and the press conference, all of them are thinking about the same thing, which is how can we build this game? Yes, how can we win the tournament? How can we build this game? And how can we really make sure that India benefits from it? Because that's the original vision. The vision is not let's have the best players in the world. The vision is how will the best players in the world and the best sevens franchise based rugby league in the world help the Indian ecosystem? And finally, we come to the sponsors. So once you have the broadcasters and the team owners and the players, you approach sponsors and say, look, this is nobody knows how many people are going to watch this, Boria. Is it going to be 10 million? Is it going to be 20? Is it going to be 30? Is it going to be 40? We have nobody has a clue because this is an untested product. We know what the product is and the legs it can have. Touchwood, we've had four really great conversations with four massive sponsors, both of world rugby across the world as well as sport across the world. So in this case, and I must say at this point, whether GMR gets the sponsor or somebody from Rugby India does, whether GMR speaks to a player or someone from Rugby India does, whether somebody speaks to a team owner, it doesn't matter. We just work as one, and we work as one because that's the faith the entire rugby general body in the country has placed in this partnership. And it's our duty to make sure that it comes true. So the sponsors, long story short, we will have the sponsor news to break to the press in about, I would say, 2 to 3 weeks from now. The next piece of information that's going to go out to all of you is the brand image, which I will talk to you about. That's no problem. I can talk about it. The brand image, the advertising campaign, who it is reaching out to, what's our target audience, what is the personality of the Rugby Premier League, and finally, who are the sponsors who are going to be on board. That's the next set of information pieces we're going to be putting out. But suffice to say that it's no surprise that the league is going to have the same image as Sevens Rugby, which is energetic, incredibly physical, incredibly fast, and very aspirational and young. And so I can't even talk to you about the anthem that we've made, but we've made an anthem. I can't talk to you about the kind of presence we have from my colleagues in the industry of cinema, as well as colleagues from the various the sports verticals that they're amazing at. We've got the support of all of these wonderful, wonderful people. That was the easiest part, to go to them and say, you're doing this for free. I hope you understand. You're taking part in the anthem, you're doing some promos, and they were super, super happy to do that. And I know that the 15 days that we're in Andheri, it's my aim to get one or two wonderful representatives of the film industry and the sporting industry to come every day for the event. So there will be some kind of excitement on the ground, outside, of course, the incredible excitement on the field.
Absolutely brilliant stuff. I mean, yes, keep telling us. And as you said, I mean, you've got support. You've got support from me. You've got support from us, and you know that. You know that. I mean, forever we've been sort of very, very appreciative of the work that you guys are doing. And at Rev Sports, the mission has always been multi-sport, holistic coverage. taking Indian sport forward. So, whatever we can do, we are there. Good work, solid work, work with honor and integrity is the way forward. I absolutely hope your vision is successful. It will be hard. You anyway work hard, so a little bit more, some more gray hairs, some more exhaustion, but it's all worth it at the end, Rahul Bose. This is your legacy. Live it, live the dream, make it happen. Thank you.
Boria, I really do want to say this. You cannot play the sport alone. If you try playing rugby alone, you will go to hospital. So, there's no question. And that is in our bones individually. So, whether anybody remembers the fact that I was part of this or not, genuinely is immaterial. The dream is to drive by a village and to see kids playing with this oddly shaped ball. The dream is to drive by a city at lunch break and some of the kids are playing cricket, some of the kids are playing football, and a few kids have taken this oddly shaped ball and are playing with it.
Chalo, I'll finish saying this. My dream is to document more and more Hupi Majhi stories because that's also a story of India. A story of India that is empowered, a story of India that is gender sensitive, a story of India that is striving towards equality. And my understanding is, from having spoken to you for the last 30 odd minutes, is the Rugby Premier League is a step in the right direction. Keep going. Keep going. All the very best for joining me. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, Boria. Take care. All the best.